Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. One thing you can do to honor the memory of people who died, especially people who died on your behalf or innocent people who died in a heroic situation is as a society, as a community, let's all try and figure out what happened, where we went wrong, not necessarily to point the fingers, but just so how can we minimize this in the future? We should never expect to live in a perfect world with no crime or no violence or nothing negative ever happening. Bro, we're in a human experiment here full of flawed human beings, and there's gonna be problems. However, I am not seeing that happen with the guy that shot the 3 cops last week, killing one, and what's sort of an ambush, more of an execution, depending on how you want to phrase it. And I think that's unfortunate. Because part of the reason we do this is so we can identify problems and address them. So what have we learned about this guy that shot the cops? What do you know about him? Do you know his name? Do you know his religion? Do you know his background? Do you know his motivation? Do we even reach into that? Do you even know his race? I mean, did it even come up? And it's unfortunate that there doesn't seem to be more of a curiosity into this, because when we have other shootings that fit a narrative a little bit better, you got to hear about it all the time. Like when the Pulse nightclub was shot up, immediately it was called a hate crime. It was anti-LGBT, and you go back and you look at it and you find out later that the guy that shot up the place probably didn't even know it was a gay club, never been there before. He's actually going to go shoot up some other place at like Disney Springs, but he saw too many armed guards there. And so he decided, well, I'm going to go to a softer target. Let me go in town and just shoot up this first club that pops up on my Google Maps. And, you know, we really missed some good lessons there. It wasn't that the guy was targeting gay people. He was going to send a message to the Obama administration about the use of drones in the Syrian civil war and how it was killing too many innocent people. But that's not the message that the media got out. The media got the message out. See, we told you. People are out to kill LGBT community members just for sports. There's a genocide out there. No, that's not the problem. The problem isn't that America is too homophobic. The problem is your president is droning civilians in a civil war. That was the problem. So we have a similar issue here. We have a guy who seems like he's fired up by some sort of anti-cop fervor. Because when I went through his social media last week, there's videos where he shows cops that are like in the car behind him and goes, why are these guys following me? And he shows a drone. What's going on there? And so there seems to be a little bit of mental illness, and that's going to happen. You know, most mental ill people don't end up ambushing and executing cops. But when you combine that mental illness with what seems to be he gets whipped up in this anti-cop fervor, this narrative that cops are bloodthirsty, racist murderers foaming at the mouth to hunt black people for sport with no repercussions from society at large because none of us care about black lives. I mean, it's a fantastically horrifying and untrue narrative, but this guy believed it. So it's super important when someone from the media actually goes out there and talks to, I don't know, say the shooter's dad, who probably knows him better than you did. We have a chance to really get an understanding here and maybe ask ourselves some questions. Maybe we need to tone down this anti-cop rhetoric. Maybe we need to tone down the microscopic laser-like focus that we have on the stories that fit this narrative while ignoring the ones that don't, because people are coming away with a belief system that doesn't match the real world. And now it's having negative consequences. Now we have a man dead and we have 2 other people shot. So I think you should hear this, and you're not going to hear it from anyone else, but you'll hear it from me. Here's a couple of pieces from the interview with Dad. It's only 6 minutes, but I went and listened to it. And here's the 2 parts that matter, because I'm trying to get in this guy's head and see what caused this. Why did he do this?
You were telling me that his behavior had changed in the last few days.
Yeah, it did. I don't know if because he was talking about he's into this Muslim stuff and all this stuff, and he kind of feel like somebody was chasing him, just like the police was after him, that day, and they didn't stop him or anything. But he's kind of on his Facebook page. I heard that he's talking about like demons or something like that. I don't know, how that came about.
Yeah, so he's in some sort of weird religious sect, and it's not Christian. I'm not blaming all Muslims here, but, if he had gone to a Trump rally the day before, if he had like a swastika in his room, or if he, God forbid, had the from heaven. What was the Christmas tree flag with the reference to heaven that everyone was saying for 5 seconds was this clear white supremacist symbol from Alito. Another one is this focus on the cops, him questioning cops.
I don't know if, because police are killing black kids all the time, and he might have got afraid or something like that, you know. Yeah. It's kind of hard to say because I wasn't there.
Well, it's hard to wrap your head around.
Right, and I don't know if they provoked him first or, you know, because, you know, he ride around the city all the time and he, you know, never have any problems. So, you know, I just, I don't know what provoked that.
So he buys into this narrative that cops kill black people, that they kill them at a greater rate than they kill white people. Not true. They kill, nominally speaking, they kill more white people, and they kill them at a greater rate compared to their crime rate. The number of encounters, the number of times they've had to draw weapons on them, white people get killed more often than black people, but that's not the narrative. You don't know one major story about a white guy being killed by cops, an unarmed white guy killed by cops, even though it literally happens more often than the reverse. But because of this steady drumbeat, this focus on race only when it matches the narrative and totally ignoring the race when it doesn't, you can understand why people come across with this narrative that doesn't bear out in reality. Here's the negative consequences of it. The Uber driver that was shot last night. Who was the race of the people who shot him? Who was the race of the guy that got shot? We don't know. They don't report on it. But if they did report on it either all evenly or never at all, you wouldn't come across with this. You wouldn't have this guy being whipped up in anti-cop fervor thinking it's just based on the color of his skin. Would you? There's a good argument that cop would still be alive. A black man would still be alive if not for this narrative that you claim is on behalf of black people, but you're not helping. You're making it worse, and it needs to stop. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, are the Palestinian protesters back on college campuses? Are they doing this again? That's coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. You know, very disappointed about how this story is not getting the scrutiny it deserves, because our cops deserve better. The men that go out, women too, that say, I'm going to sacrifice my life, I'm going to take a job with no potential of being wealthy, it's going to be dangerous, it's going to have horrible hours, it's going to be very stressful, but it's going to make my community a better place. We need to protect these people. We don't need to be slandering them. We don't need to be picking and choosing news stories that make them look bad. We don't need to be reporting on certain news stories that make them look bad. And when we hear other people slander the good folks that are cops, and I understand there is such thing as bad cops, of course, in any human endeavor. There's going to be, 2, maybe 5% of the crew that is quite questionable or lazy or just not as heroic. But the guy that we lost last week seems like he's about as good as you could ask for. When you look at his life, when you look at his social media page, when you look at what his friends and family and acquaintances even are saying about him, we lost a good one. So it bothers me that when we see a cop shooting and 3 cops got shot, one of them lost his life, that when we go talk to the dad, when we go look at this guy's Facebook page, this is a guy that was caught up in that anti-cop fervor. And we have a person that's running for president now that was fanning the flames of the anti-cop fervor. Talking about she was quite sympathetic to the Antifa and BLM riots, the George Floyd situation, helping to bail them out. She's spoken out in a way that sort of, fuels the fire on all this. And I think that we need to stop and recognize that this has negative consequences. And this is what we saw last week. I'm not saying everyone who criticizes a cop is wrong, but I'm saying this over focus on it with the racial angle and on the horrible sensational reporting, the dishonest reporting, the outright political propaganda hack reporting contributed to this. You got this guy all ginned up and spun up and mad at cops. And when statistically speaking, I can make the case that that's just not true. This is a wholly fabricated narrative that cops are out to kill black people for sport and the rest of America doesn't care. We just laugh off into the distance and go on about our way. Well, I think it's really ugly that these people aren't going to be held to account, because you were told that Trump needs to watch his mouth, because when he talks about bloodbath, well, that's something Hitler would say. And there's a bunch of crazy right-wingers out there that'll hear him and they'll do crazy things. They'll act on it. violence will ensue. Bloodbath. Remember that? Where'd those people go? Donnie in Missouri, you're on the James Shaw on WBAP. What do you think, sir?
Hey, James. Yeah, I'm still stuck on that caller you had on Friday. I think his name was Kevin. And, he was talking about, all the cops are bad, that, that he deserved it because he's a bad cop. All cops are bad, blah, blah. Yeah. His line of thinking, then, if everybody is a bad person, if somebody's having a bad day, then they should all be shot. They should all be executed. That line of thinking that he and some others have is just asinine. I've been a cop for 21 years now, and currently I serve as a school resource officer. I have for the last 10 years. The fever, the pitch of everything going on these days, it's ridiculous. Fortunately, I'm in a small community where everybody around here is God-fearing, respect the cops. You say yes, ma'am, yes, sir. It's don't bring that crap around our place.
Well, it's super frustrating in the context that we're being warned against. Hey, you shouldn't say the wrong pronouns, or these people are. It's like the same as violence. It's very bad. Or you shouldn't say anything bad about the rainbow community because you're going to be inciting violence against them. You shouldn't say anything bad about women or minorities or all these other protected people because you could be inciting violence and hatred. And we have hate speech laws. And then there's actually an act of violence and hatred based on someone's rhetoric. Crickets. They don't even acknowledge it happens. And we all know that's wrong. Thank you very much for your call, Donnie in Missouri. If you want to be next, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Also, we're giving away Trace Adkins tickets if you want to win a pair to see him September 6th. That's just in 3 days. Same phone number. You text the word SWING to that phone number, 800-288-9227. Text SWING to 800-288-9227 for your chance to win Trace Adkins tickets later this week. For the rest of us, we can get them at Ticketmaster.com. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.